I'm not gonna go, because Curtis is gonna go through the stuff, but these are in here. And that way, if you guys wanna go over it, it's also in our protocol. Here's the alert criteria. So at the very end of that stuff that I handed to you guys is a regular full one. I just have the flow sheets broke down in here, but the entire sepsis alert checklist is in the back, and that's what we're going to use and go off of. So the slides that I have in here is the same information that we have on there. Again, it's important to get this information and put it down, because when we hand off to whatever hospital, Herman Hospital, Mercy, wherever we're going to, this is information they have to have. Leave it with the patient. I would prefer if you get a chance to copy it and bring it back, so that a lot of this stuff from this point on after today is going to be QI and looking at stuff, getting follow-up, so we know when it ended up with the patient. I will try to get follow-up as far as if something was grown, that I'll get back to you what it was, what kind of infection. I'll get as much information back as I can. So it'll help if I have these, so I can start compiling some information. If you don't end up, you can't get a copy, blah, 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 make sure it just stays with them so that they can continue care. They're going to want to know this stuff in the hospital. But if you get the chance, bring a copy back so that we can use it. We can attach it to our QI stuff and go from there.
Hey, Doug, one thing you might want to put on that checklist where you have the number, what is that, blood culture and labs. You might want to put date, time, and location that they drew. If they didn't draw out of the IV site, you're going to want to put
Yeah, that's a good point.
the site
Where you got it from.
hopefully drawn from.
Yeah. And make a good point in here too. Like I say, when you have this stuff in here, your time started of your fluids, your time started of your lever fed, your IV antibiotics, whatever the case may be. Make sure you get that stuff in there, because again, that's stuff they're going to need after you're gone. And we know how great handoffs are in the hospital, right? Because they listen to everything that we say, right? They listen to it.
What'd you say?
So when they blow you off and you leave, and then somebody's later on like, man, wonder when they hung the Zose.
So I know it's happened to you too, but on real critical patients, you drop them and you come back and the phone rings.
And
Like, hey, what
exactly.
happened? What
Yeah.
happened with this?
Hey, did you guys do this? Like, yeah, I said that 4 times when I was there. I'm not sure, But again, handoffs are not good, and they're not good anywhere. I'm not picking on nobody. They suck across the board, right? So,
Amen.
yes. Actually, handoffs are becoming such a problem in the central EMS region. I'm on an advisory committee for the central EMS region, which is big, coming all the way from us going up to Hannibal. The central EMS region is by far the biggest in the state. The handoff thing is becoming such a problem, especially in Columbia, that they want one standard form that all of us use across the board. They want you to put that information in and leave it there with them. So that's one of the things they're working on. I'm not 100% sure it's going to fix anything, because really if you would just listen and write things down as we go along,
Right.
that would kind of solve the problem. So I'm not sure that that's the answer, but they want to create a standard template that regardless if it's a helicopter, whether it would be us, whether it would be Macon County, whoever it is that's dropping that patient, they're going to want that. I think it's kind of another thing to have to fill out, so I'm not 100%
Right,
sure
seeing
it's the
around
greatest.
in the hospital,
Right.
you're gonna be writing things quickly.
Right. And I think they're like, what they're going to have them in every ER, so no matter what, if you would call, they're going to start filling that out, and then in reality, you're supposed to get with the nurse and then fill this in and make sure they have that information before you go. So it's a good idea in theory. I'm not sure that it's really going to fly, because if they're not listening to you, and I'm not picking on nurses, I know nurses. I'm not picking on them, but I'm not sure if they weren't listening to begin with, and it could be that they got too many other things to do.
Right.
Are they going to get
They're
the time to
overworked.
get you sit down and try to fill this thing out? I'm not sure that that's actually going to happen.
Right.
And part of the dilemma from the hospital side, and I'll give them, is they don't have access to our PCR right now, right? When we leave, we go back like Scott's doing now. Boone doesn't have the stuff Scott did. And sometimes, because handoffs are not good, they
Which
don't
is not
know
more
what
reason
to
we need to pay attention.
Right, and that's across the board. I'm not picking on hospital people or us. I don't think any of us on a whole are very good. We get irritated because we're either waiting too long or we don't feel like we're listened to. They're busy, so I don't think either one has real appreciation for the other. Or I can tell you, you or Boone, or you better be leaving because they need that trucking service. They don't have, so these people who are coming in there are just unloading, they gotta go, So there's things that could be fixed, but it is a big problem. And it's a major problem. Most of the stuff in the central EMS region that we're working on is TCD stuff. So we know stroke, STEMI, trauma patients, right? Sepsis is going to be added to the TCD stuff by legislation this year. So it's going to be something none of us have a choice about. When you start adding more and more of these TCD things in, and you have somebody who stands back and looks at that stuff all the time, TCD coordinators, they want information, they realize they're not getting most of the information. So when I talk about these handoff sheets, turnover sheets, most of it's directed to the TCD stuff, so it'll be stroke, STEMI, trauma, and sepsis. But we're starting to have to collect an awful lot of information pretty quickly. And as that becomes more commonplace, that becomes kind of a problem. Hospitals have their own sets of problems when, like with a stroke patient, they're activating the stroke team. So now you have the stroke team down there and you have the people in the ER down there. So you have these internal problems that they work on that side. So you may have given that information to 2 or 3 people. It's just...
Were they the right people?
Right. Exactly right. And we all know how this is, but there's too much work for all of us. So. But use the sepsis alert checklist. There's going to be our sepsis kits. Everything is in there, okay? They're sitting on, I think, Mike's desk now. These guys made those up. They're really good. Checklists are in there. Everything you guys will need to be in there.
Where are they going to be kept in the ambulance?
I think we're gonna try to, on 202, where the trauma department is, right across from the patient there. There's a lot of wasted space in there as far as everything's kind of spread out in those bins. We're gonna try to consolidate some of that, put it in there. I'm not 100% sure where we're gonna put it 203, because we can put it anywhere in that truck.
Yeah, a little more room there. But they'll be in those.
We'll let everybody know when it goes on the truck. So.
Yeah. If you guys want to look at them too, I can fish them out here in a minute. Guiding principles, early treatment with antibiotics and aggressive fluid resuscitation to restore perfusion is the cornerstone of management. Okay, that's what we're shooting for you. Restoring perfusion through, get their blood pressure up, use the fluid aggressively. Early antibiotic therapy, again, these are the tickets to sepsis care. Prompt identification and treatment of primary site or sites of infection are essential, right? So we ultimately, at the end of the game, regardless of what's happening now, that's what we want to know. Primary therapeutic intervention with most other interventions is supportive. So we're taking care of the patient, but we need to know what the problem is and what the source is. The goal of fluid resuscitation is early restoration or perfusion to prevent or limit multiple organ dysfunction. So again, early aggressive treatment is the ticket to the whole thing. Going to want to keep a MAP above 65, urine output at 0.4 kilos per hour, normalize lactate and maintain glucose above 70, but less than 150. So these are going to be things that in hospital they're going to be shooting for. But it's good, one, that we understand it, and two, we should start shooting for that. So keep their MAP above 65, urine output we may know or not know. Normalize the lactate. How often do you take lactates in the hospital and stuff? Do you try it? Is that given to use as
How often we
as
do
your
that?
guide?
Pretty much we try to do, when we admit them, we do what the next morning.
Afterward, to see where it.
The next morning where it's at, and then if it's normalizing, sometimes we follow it till it normalizes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So that gives you an idea of where they're going there. Keeping the map up. Urine output is huge to see what you're getting there. And you may see that if you end up taking somebody for an hour to Columbia. Urine output, what their urine output is important. And then glucose again. Those are the things in there. So that's all my part.
And that might be something important for us to remember to document too, with our transfer.